I have to let the music establish, to set the tone of everything, you know. I love it. You know, I didn't write it. Oh, that I had, but I didn't. Lynn says I should write my own theme for this, and I think that she is correct. But I got this one so burned into my head, I feel like whatever I come up with, it's going to be a derivative. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's pretty much up to me, isn't it? I get to decide all of that. So you know what I'm doing right now? I'm joining the... Oh, and if you're new, well, welcome. And you don't know what I'm doing. There's only a couple of you right now. I surprised you. It's an early morning session. I'm just trying to get to it on my own iPad so that I can see your comments, you see. Pushing the buttons and turning things down. And I see Monica and Sarah, they're already watching. Both of whom are previous group coaching participants. And Sarah, in fact, has joined us for our next round of group coaching. So, if you're interested in group coaching, which I'll talk about in a little bit, I actually do have a fun little 5-point agenda today, but you can check out boundlessliving.com/group coaching, or a more passive way to do it is just to type group info into these comments and hit return. Don't type all kinds of other stuff. Like, dear Bob, I would really like some group info about your group coaching program because I am at a point at just group info, return, boom. That's it. Anyway, welcome to the Law of Attraction Q&A for today. And today I do, as normal, I have something of, something that I'm bringing to the table in terms of a topic. However, this is about your questions and me answering them. Hi, Beth. So we've got Steve and Beth and Sarah and Monica, all of whom have done group coaching but in the past. Isn't that fantastical? Anyway, but as you gather in here, if you're new, I'd love for you to say hello, like, hi, just checking this out for the first time. Or, hi, Bob, I thought you were just a goofball. I didn't know you had relevant things to say. I'm going to hang out here and tell all my friends. So I'll wait for you to tell all your friends, and then we'll get into this. Morning, Steve. I think one day I'll just do this talking like this. Maybe I'll find myself a hat. An appropriate hat, of course. Come on here and answer your law of attraction questions just like this. Well, good morning. So you're having trouble attracting what you want. Well, isn't that the way of things sometimes? But I'm here to tell you a different way. A way that doesn't have to be so hard. A way that doesn't have to be so mind-bogglingly weird. Would that grow weary? Would you all grow weary of that? All right, so anyway, here's how it works. You ask questions, I answer them. If you don't ask questions, I basically fill in the blanks and just start telling you stuff that I think you need to know. And I do think you need to know this. Today we're talking about, well, I am. I don't know if you will. That's totally up to you. Hi, Kathy. Not the five things, just 5 things. Because as I was just writing this list, just a quick little, I'll talk about these things. I said, well, I'll do 5. And I'm realizing there are way more than 5. Hi, Jeffrey. Good morning. Hope you're feeling well. More than 5 things that we forget about the law of attraction, even those of us who might actually teach it. But certainly those of us who are learning it, and this is really particularly for the people who have been learning it for a while. Now, if you're just getting started, these are things to keep in mind, but these are the things that tend to creep up on you as you move along your journey and go, I know this, I got this, no problem. These are the things you sometimes forget. So I'm here to remind you. There's always something there to remind you. Ba-da-da-da. Now, it's up to you whether that's the soft sell version or I can't remember who did it first. Somebody help me. Who did that? Who did There's Always Something There to Remind Me first? Before soft sell came around in the 80s and did it. I know. It's in my head. I just can't access it right now because I'm in law of attraction mode. I'm in life-changing mode. Okay, so here, and these are in no particular order. I don't have fancy graphic bullet points. This isn't a presentation. Well, I am presenting this, but you know what I mean. I didn't like put a PowerPoint together. And it's not because you're not important to me. You are. You are. In fact, you're so important that I thought, I'm not going to wait and put together bullet points. I'm just going to get on here and start talking about this because they need to know. Jeffrey, that's very kind of you to say. Sarah says, I've got one, a question. So is the ego and that child inside one and the same? So we've talked about a lot in the group coaching and some of these too around that ego. I mean, that's a whole other, he is mentioned in step number 4, point number 4, he or she, it, ego, with a capital E. How that evolves. And it's all about your identity. So that identity does start to form when you're a child, and the beliefs that you hear from the outside, the things about what is possible, what's not possible, what's hard, what's for you, what's for somebody else, all of these things that create your sense of identity happens like when you're a child. So the ego is in some form a form of that child. And so you hear the voices that you hear from that ego are very often the sounds of a child screaming adult words. Because the child ego who learned all these limiting things from sources and just believed it, said, okay, well, this is who I am and this is who I need to be to protect myself, because this is what reality is. So boom, it creates this identity. And from that point, you grow up, you learn new vocabulary, you have more experiences, but all of that is sort of filtered through this ego identity, which is wants nothing more than just to keep you, it's decided what's going to keep you safe and what's going to get you through this world. I can't keep talking about this because it's point number 4. So you just have to stay. All right. So these are in no particular order. So, don't be like waiting around for the 5th one thinking, oh, that's the big one. They're all the big one. I don't give little ones. Why would I waste my time? Oh, boy. I hope you guys have a nice cup of coffee or something and a comfortable pair of socks, because I do. Okay, the first thing that we forget about the law of attraction is that it is more about being than doing. And in doing, I mean making lists and doing vision boards and meditating and all the stuff, all the techniques. And it's more being than the doing of the action that you're taking. Because people can take action that is incongruent with how they're feeling. Like, what if you begrudgingly take on a task? Oh, I'm doing it. I'm taking the action, but I don't want to. What's the universe responding to? It's not so much the action that you're taking. It's the vibration, right? And so often we send those mixed signals by going out in the world and doing things that are really completely incongruent with who we're being. And it's our being, it's who we are being. And if there's anything I really want to drive home, and what we spend a good bit of time defining in group coaching, is this whole issue of being. What does that mean? To be. And what is that? And what does that encompass? What is that? When we talk about being, what does that impact? Well, it impacts the very core of your vibration, who you be. It touches all of your your belief systems and how you respond on all levels to your experience of reality. That's who you're being. It's all about your response to the energy, and that's not just your doing. It's not just your physical. It's your emotional and everything. So it's not, yes, we talk about the law of attraction. You have to take action. It's not a passive thing. You do take action. But in that action, you still have to be congruent up here. Does that make sense to anyone? Does that make sense? So it's in your being. People walk around all day with their law of attraction posters and their inspirational quotes and their this, that, and the other thing, their vision boards, right? So that's doing. But who are they being with this? So, and that's going to be touched on in all of this other stuff. So let me go. So let's just ponder that. So if you're not clear on who you're being or who you even want to be, and I talked about this the other day on one of these Q&As, is the importance of knowing who you're going to be in your vision. Because it's not going to be who you're being right now. It's going to be a different version. So if you're not clear on who you want to be because you're so overwhelmed with who you've been and the reasons why, then that would be one reason to consider coming into something like a group coaching program, should one become available. All right, so let me go on to the second one, that we sometimes forget. And I don't know that we consciously isn't maybe the right word, but forget. It's not that we forget so much. It's just that the way that we be and act and do seems to indicate that we are forgetting this point, that this is not magic. It's not magic. It occurs like magic, and it compared to what we perceive as normal and natural and all of this other stuff, when we manifest something out of our intention and we're intentionally working with the law of attraction, it can seem like magic because it's so unfamiliar to us that we can actually manifest something that we want. We can actually live the life we want. That seems magical. It's not magic. It is the science of the law of attraction. It has always been here, and it's not going anywhere. And it is absolutely defining your experience of reality right now. It isn't magic. It's responding 100% to your vibration, which is made up of your what you're believing and what you're feeling, who you're being. Your feelings about where you are in life, where you've been in life, where you want to go in life. It's all creating this unique energetic signal that the universe is 100% of the time responding to. It isn't magic. It's the law of attraction. It defines how energy behaves in our universe. It's way more than just how do we get stuff. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Nori and Sharon. So for those of you who are challenged with any part of this being magical, forget it. It's science. Relax. All of this is freaking happened for a very good reason. It's in the level of quantum physics. It is mind-bending. And you may not ever understand it at the level, but just if you're worried that you're playing in some sort of magical world, that you've got to take some blind leap of faith, or you've become some type of person with a weird belief system that you don't. It's not magic. So relax. Have fun with it. Okay, are we ready for the third one? And this is, I've touched on this. I say it all the time. Vision boards are tools. They are also not magic. So, and this goes for all the tools, all the little techniques, and anything that you would consider a tool for the law of attraction. Okay? These are tools, and they have one purpose. Does anyone know what that purpose is? I'd love to see if anyone could answer that, because I've said it a million times. What is the purpose? I'm just going to see if anyone actually answers. Sometimes I don't give you a chance to answer, so today I'm doing. What's the purpose? What's the purpose of any of these tools? What's the purpose of a vision board? See, I have to ask these questions so you'll engage mentally, so it will, when I say it, it'll get in there. Remember, this is about teaching. Focus on your vision, and then what happens as a result of you focusing on your vision, Monica? If the vision board is doing its job, if any of these tools are doing their job, what happens? See, Sarah's saying the same thing, to keep your vision in mind. See, that's only half of it. There, Steve said it. To get us into vibrational resonance with what we're trying to attract. If our vision, if our vision boards, if our meditations, if our lists, if our whatever tools that we're using are not generating the emotion that we want to have to be a part of our vision realized, because that's why we're doing it. Remember, it's all about a feeling we're going to get. No matter how noble the cause is, no matter how much it's about other people, you're doing it because it brings you a little certain something. A sense of purpose. It doesn't have to be bad that it does. So it's about these feelings. So if the vision board doesn't give you the feeling that you want to be having when that vision board is your experience of reality, it's not doing its job. Hi, Janet. Yes, Kelly says it. You have an emotional response that affects your vibration. Yes, yes. So they are there as reminders, as Jeffrey says. But we can look at reminders and have lots of different reactions. How many times have you looked at a to-do list and gone, ugh? Even if it's something good. Like, how many times have you looked at your vision board, be honest now, if you've done this type of technique, or something similar, and had a feeling of, when, how? I don't know. Those types of feelings. Anyone? Ever? Because that's what I'm talking about. We don't want that. However, we do teach ways to deal with that. So it's not, I'm not saying don't use a vision board if that happens, and don't do affirmations if that happens. No, go ahead and do them, because every time you look at something like that and you get that negative response, that negative wave, it's a gift. Gift? What are you talking about, Bob? It sounds like what you're saying is that's keeping me from having my vision realized. Yes, it is. It is. Bob, but you know what? You recognized it. You saw it. You say, oh, there's the thing. And you get to use release techniques or some other process to deal with that energy that is that resistance. Oh, Bob, you're talking woo-woo now. No, I'm not. Talking science again. Well, I've never heard any of this. I know they don't. Are you willing to get educated on it? Well, I don't know. It's so different than anything I've ever learned. It sounds kind of woo-woo. I think probably not. So you're willing to stick with your belief system that hasn't served you, that doesn't, get you where you want to, because this one's a little bit different outside of your comfort zone? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. And that's how the ego operates. So this all sounds, I don't know, wherever you are in the journey, it could sound a variety of ways. Yes, I live my life like this every day, or this guy's freaking crazy. And what I'm saying is, okay, I don't think I'm crazy. And there's a lot of stuff here that if you were to learn it and experience it and not just look at it and go, I don't know, this seems kind of, but actually step into it and give it a try, your whole life would freaking change. But the thing is that that's not most, if you're kind of on the fence or on the skeptical side, you watch something like this, you're probably not going to, people who are skeptical about this will argue for it forever. It's just like anything else. You argue for your beliefs, and you don't want your beliefs to be changed. And so that's why I don't debate this or argue it or any of it. Because it's like, okay, if you come in here saying, well, the law of attraction isn't true, and here's a million reasons why, and I don't want you to convince me otherwise, why would I even enter that conversation? When I know what I know, and I know exactly why you are attracting exactly what you're saying. I know exactly why you're having the experience that this is all nonsense. Would you be willing to take a look at it and see if you could change that so that you could attract something that you want? And that's what I'm asking any of you. If it's not going the way you want, are you willing to make an investment in time or money or whatever it takes to say, I'm going to get on path? Because if you say no, you need to listen to that voice and go, who's saying that? Who is telling me no to doing what I need to do to have the life I want? What the hell is going on here? And why am I listening to it over and over and over again? Thank you, Kelly. I'm glad that you're here to learn more. And yes, she says, time to update your board, not feeling it. And that could be time to update the board and make it more, bigger, better, more concise, more appropriate to what you really want to feel. But also it could be an opportunity to use some release techniques or whatever, like EFT or, Sedona method or any of these, to deal with those feelings of resistance that come up when you are not feeling it or feeling a negative thing. Okay? And of course, I don't have to tell you that if you want to get into a situation where you're living these things and getting the coaching every day, etc., etc., you can ask most of the people in this room who've done it. We've got this group coaching program. It is coming up on the 30th. That is not true. The 23rd of September. And I want you to check it out. I want you to consider it. I want you to consider it if you are a law of attraction enthusiast or are curious or want to jumpstart it. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've seen how people operate, and I'm a people too, and I know how I operate. And I'm just telling you, and I could go on about the various ways that you can teach and learn and all that. But getting into a situation where you're not, where you're living it, but not just. The reason I don't do one-on-one coaching like I used to is because it's just more effective in a group when there's other people, there's shared energy, there's different opinions, there's different life experiences, to draw from. And the support and the friendships and just knowing that there are other people like us out there. And it's not a bunch of negative Nellies who may be, surrounding you at this time. So, You can jump around the internet and look for free stuff all day, which I love finding free stuff. I've taught myself all sorts of stuff for free. Ukulele, Photoshop, you name it. It's out there. Law of attraction, no shortage of information for free. I, myself, show up here all the time answering law of attraction questions for free. And then there are other levels of getting this integrated into your life, and some are programs, self-study programs. If you're not a good self-study person, if you tend to get stopped, then you look at a different level of support, and that's where the group coaching comes in, and that's where I happen to excel, and that's where this information is most easily integrated into your life on a daily basis. So I would just invite you to at least just go check it out. You can either type in group info into the comments here. You can go down to this URL here, boundlessliving.com/group coaching. Check it out. The sooner you get in, the sooner you get started. We've already started, haven't we, Sarah? Sarah's already jumped in. Monica says, when someone tells me this is a goo-goo thing, which I assume is like woo-woo, I tell them just to look at the solar system, right? Right, and how it works, or your own body, and are these goo-goo or woo-woo? Look at the miracles that we are surrounded with. I made this point the other day. Grass grows, reproduction, you name it. The universe is just a mind-boggling miracle. And we doubt this? And we call this woo-woo? I think it's completely inconceivable that we could have a vision for something and move into action and realize it. Meanwhile, miracles are happening in our bodies every moment. And we're going, I don't think I could take action and get something based on what I want. This is the shake. Guys, we've been so dumbed down. Our thinking, the way that we process information and the way that we make things logical is crazy sometimes. And this is a prime example. That we talk ourselves out of something as simple as, well, we know what we know we're energy, we can see that it attracts and things like this, but if it comes down, the minute it comes down to, and we can make our life better with it, oh no, that's magical thinking. Meanwhile, our bodies cure ourselves of disease every day. Look, don't even get me started. Monica already did. Sarah extended the invitation for all of you to come do the coaching. Hi, Darren. Welcome. Okay, so there's more. See, there's more. I'm not done yet. Oh, no. See, some of you ran off. Well, I'm not talking to you who ran off because you're gone. You're gone, you people who are gone. But here we go. Number 4, as promised, Sarah, the ego. The ego, you have to remember and not forget. Please don't forget this. I mean, this was a huge point the other day. The ego is fighting for its life. How, if you were fighting for your life, your very existence, Jeffrey, wouldn't you do everything to save it? If you thought you were about to be blinked out of existence, wouldn't you go nuts trying to figure out how am I going to prevent this happening and do everything you could in your power to change that outcome? Probably. And that's all the ego's doing. The ego has been formed since childhood, whatever it is, your identity, or that's how it's defined itself. And we've been told your ego is your identity. And I think that messes with us a bit because we make it, because it feels so permanent. But the ego, just like everything else, is just a configuration of energy, and it lives somewhere in our mind or wherever it lives. But it's there, and it feels very much alive, and like its own thing. And it knows who it is, and it wants to be that, and that's all it wants to be, because so much of it is about protection. So much of your ego is formed from protection of things you got hurt in some way. It could have been physical, it could have been emotional, whatever it was. So now it's all about protection. Is this making sense? Is everybody listening? Hi, Shifali. So when you all of a sudden have this conscious thought, I'm going to change this stuff I'm not happy with. I'm going to bring in abundance. I'm going to bring in happiness. I'm going to stop looking at the negative on everything. I'm going to be a positive. I'm going to whatever. I'm going to be somebody else. That's basically you putting a gun to the ego's head and saying, see ya. And the ego goes, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't want to do this. They're going to laugh at you. You're going to fail because look at all those other times you failed. You are making a huge mistake. At least wait a little bit. Get a little more information. Wait till you got a little more money. Wait till you move out of this town. Right? It's just fighting for its life, and it knows exactly what to say. Hi, Yogesh. I'm telling you, if you could just remember number 4. Because when the ego does that thing to try and save its life, when you're on the cusp of something huge, like taking a group coaching program, and it tells you all the reasons you can't go do or be this. It's fighting for your limitation, that small, childlike, I'm living in fear version of yourself. That is not who you want to be, right? But it's going to be, the ego is going to do everything it can to make this extremely uncomfortable for you. But when you can see it, what's happening, and you can detach and become an observer. This is so much, again, about what the experience of the coaching is about, is learning this and seeing it in others, watching how others detach. Like, I can't tell you how many times there have been stories, in the group coaching of, this is my normal upset, whatever this is. I normally would respond this way, but now I have been able to stop and observe and make a different choice. We all have that ability. It's a natural ability. We've completely forgotten how to do it or disconnected from it. To some people that would seem impossible, I'd like to show you how to do it. Because that's what gives you the choices in every moment to shift your vibration in a profound and powerful way. Every time you acquiesce or whatever to the ego, what the ego says, it just gets stronger. See, you're too weak to make your own decision. This was easy. This was so easy. All he had to do was say that there was a monetary investment, and you buckled. Awesome. Oh, okay. All right. Shall I go on to number 5? Like I said, I mean, there's plenty more where this came from. These are just the first 5 that popped into my mind. So I figured, well, these are the 5 I got to share today. Do you know what that sigh was? That sigh was, there's going to be people watching this. Not so much the people who are watching live, because I know a lot of you, and I know that you're already way into this conversation and know most of this stuff I'm saying, and hopefully can still benefit from the reminder, as I can and everybody. But there's going to be some people watching this who are just like, they're just passively watching it like they watch every other YouTube video or whatever, and they go, yeah, I know that, because I've heard that said a million times, and I've got some magazines here. I'm going to cut out Vision Board eventually, and eventually I'm going to learn to meditate, and one of these days I'm going to start implementing, and this law of attraction stuff doesn't work. I've been studying it for like a year and a half, because you've been buying programs and reading things and watching videos and all that, but how many times have you stepped into action? No, not just for a couple of days until your ego popped up and said, oh, this is stupid, don't do this. And not just for a month. I took on a 30-day challenge to do this. How about commit for your life? That this is the life I'm going to create. There is no other option. But your ego says, oh, there's a million options. You could stay right where you are. You could go back. You could worry. You could stress. Because you know how to do all this. You don't really know how to be happy and abundant and successful and all that. You really don't know how to have a relationship that lasts. So probably best we just stay right here. What do you think? That's the ego. And if you can just go, wait a minute, what are you saying to me? All right, finally, here's the last one. I hope this one gets shared out. I'm telling you, we get a modest live viewing of these things. Modest meaning modest. But for those of you who are here, I hope you understand how important every single one of these things is. If you forget any of these on an ongoing basis, the law of attraction isn't going to work for you correctly. That's why I'm saying these things to you. I'm not saying this for my health, and I'm trying to, of course, give you an avenue with which to step in to the living and embodiment of these principles through our group coaching program, which starts September 23rd. Let's just go on to point number 5. That people forget about the law of attraction. And it all ties in with some of the others, but here it is. Are you ready? Yes, Bob, we're ready. Okay, good. You can't get off the grid. You can't get off the grid. There's no point from which that you are hiding from the universe. That it is not responding to what's going on, even in the deepest, darkest recesses. Which really, that's where a lot of the big, powerful stuff is happening. And that's why I'm saying in all these other things, you can't just go out in the world and say, I love attraction, love, 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 memories, da-da-da. Memories, I don't know where that came from, but just quotes, and this is who I am, and be all about lack and abundance and fear on the inside, and not expect the universe to be responding to that. It's going to respond to that. It doesn't respond to what you're saying and doing. It's responding to what? Who you're being, right? What's really happening way down deep inside. And if you don't look at that, somebody else mentioned that how important honesty is in all of this. If you're not willing to say, yes, I own that I have this limiting belief. I don't want to admit it because I've been telling people for 20 years that I don't have it, but it's there. And if you can do that, if you can own that and then do the work to deal with it, it's just energy, guys. You can change it with support and accountability and tools and education. But you can't hide. You're not off the grid. There's no point where you're going, I'm unplugging. The universe can't see me. I can think whatever I want. I can feel whatever I want. And there'll be no repercussions. Hi, Sophie. Doesn't work that way. It's always responding to what's going on in here. So again, it goes right back to number 1. It's more about who you're being than what you're doing. And so changing who you're being, that's a freaking process. And you are immediately, because of step number 4, like I said, your ego immediately, when you state the intention even briefly in your mind, I'm going to be something bigger and better than I've ever been before, your ego immediately starts fighting for its life and telling you all the reasons that it can't. And 90% of the time, it takes no time for the ego to tell you why not to do it. It's just, you don't have the money. Boom. You failed before. Boom. Somebody said this about that. Boom. You're out. Ego's hardly ever in danger, but every now and then you go, I am tired of this. I'm taking something on and I'm serious. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be abundant. I'm changing this. And that's when your ego goes freaking crazy. And as you do the vision boards, if you're not aware of that, that's when your ego goes, you won't ever get that. That's too far away. That's too big. That's too bop, 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 bop. So the ego has to be in check from the moment you start this. And remembering that it isn't magic and all of those things. So it's really, so the reason we do group coaching for 90 days now instead of 30 is it's just a longer period of time to do all the rewiring. To be able to bask in an environment of possibility instead of here's why you can't do it, here's why you can't do it. To be in a group of people who are saying, I've started doing this and this is happening. Or, I'm doing this and I'm getting this really wacky result I'm not too crazy about. And that's where most people bail. But instead, you can come in and say, this is what's happening, help, and you can get help. Right? We can move you through it as a group. And as you conquer those things, with each one, you become stronger in this conversation. The first time you move past a normal stop, like you'll know it when you feel, oh, there's that familiar thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why when people enroll in the group coaching, the process starts immediately, because especially if it was a money issue. If they're like looking at it going, oh, I don't know if I can invest this. And that, of course, is the ego's it's the first line of defense for a lot of people. All the ego has to say is money, no. But if you get past that, if you make that step, you have done a tremendously profound thing to your energy, and that's why the process begins almost immediately. That's why when people get into this group, they're already feeling it. They're already open. They're already like, something is shifted already. Yes, because you took that step, which your ego said, please don't do this. And you got a taste of being empowered. You got a taste of making a decision despite your fear. And so then the process becomes a 90-day journey of doing that over and over and over again. Stepping through discomfort, conquering it, creating a vision that inspires you to do that over and over again. And like Steve says, the group is a judgment-free zone. Hi, Dina. So just real quick, I'm going to go through them again. It's more about being than doing. It is not magic. Vision boards and all these other techniques, they're tools. They are also not magic wands. And your ego is fighting for its life, and you can't get off the grid. Okay. That's really all I had to say. I wanted to come in here and tell you those 5 things, and then be on my merry way. And of course, I wanted to invite you to join us in group coaching. Starting right now, we have payment plans. We have 6 months no payments if you qualify through PayPal credit. We have a household discount, so if there are 2 of you in the house, the second one saves 50%. So I invite you to go to this page, check out the testimonials of the people, some of whom are in this room, who have done this before, some of whom are doing it again, Sarah. And then just consider it for yourself and listen to the voices in your head and determine, am I being limited or am I being encouraged? What's happening here? Be observant. That's just a life. It's an invitation for a life lesson. Okay, I'm going to go and enjoy my day. I'm probably going to do a Bob Doyle show later, so get ready for some wackiness. I got to do it. I'll talk to you soon.